Hey guys, thanks for coming by and sticking around for this next video. Sorry it's been a while since I posted anything new. I've been working on a lot of other stuff. For those of you that have been commenting or asking for source code and stuff, you can find it all in the GitHub link that I'm going to post below in the description. That's my personal GitHub. Feel free to peruse through all my code and use whatever it is that you feel like will be useful for you in whatever you're coding. I have lots of stuff in Java and C++ on there as well. And then also, if you want to take a look at my personal website, I'll post the link to that as well. It's got a lot of other projects that I do that aren't coding related, as well as my personal blog and other information about me. So please check that out if you get a chance as well. All right, without any further ado, let's just jump right into this. This is going to be kind of a short video. I'm going to kind of go over the basics of what this program kind of does. I'm not really going to explain how it does it because there's other videos out there that do it so much better than I ever could. For instance, if you ever see Tim Corey's videos on C Sharp, check him out. He goes into so much depth and he is so good at explaining things. In fact, he was one of the reasons I was able to actually complete this project because his video on events and event handlers was top notch. So check that out if after watching this you're curious about how I did all of this. This basically how I set this up. All right, so uh, this is a program for an escape room. Now, for those of you that don't know what an escape room is, it's basically a physical room that you and your friends or acquaintances go to, and you are solving some sort of a mystery through a series of puzzles. And each one of those puzzles is encased in a prop of some sort. Now, traditional escape rooms usually had things like a box that was locked with a padlock, and you had to get a key to unlock it, or maybe there's like a keypad or a key code or something, or a combination lock or something. Those are old school. The newer ones actually are all controlled by computer, typically Raspberry Pis and Arduinos, and each prop has its own computer inside it, and it is run by its own specific programming. And then there's one large program or one main program that runs the entire room itself. And so each one of the smaller props or each one of the smaller props programs kind of what do you call response to each other, and they report to the main program. As things are completed within the escape room, the main program advances the game. And so what I did was I kind of created a C# version, a very, very rudimentary version of a type of escape room type deal, like what you would find at any of the newer escape rooms that you see, like I just described. So uh, this escape room is pretty simple. It only has three props, a cabinet, a dresser, and a lamp. And when the user goes in to play that, they have the option of trying each one of them. But I've set it up so that each prop essentially talks to the other props and lets them know whether or not they've been completed or finished, and allows the user to only do certain props at a time depending on which other props have been finished. So I have a cabinet and a dresser and a lamp, and I'm kind of imagining like a haunted manor type of escape room, I guess you could say. So like there's some sort of spooky cabinet that needs to be unlocked, and a dresser that needs to be unlocked, and a lamp that needs to be manipulated in some way. And then once you complete each one of these, the next one will open up, and then when you complete all three of them, then the room is finished. All right. And what I wanted to do in this program was I also wanted to make it so that the user had the option to go to each one of the props, just like you would in an actual escape room. So you could walk into the room and start with the lamp, but the lamp isn't activated yet because you haven't completed the props before it. And so it'll let you know that the lamp isn't activated. Likewise with the dresser, you can go to the dresser first, but the dresser won't let you do anything to it because you haven't completed the cabinet yet. Right? And that's kind of what I wanted. I wanted a very non-linear approach to it, but at the same time still kind of linear. Now this can be obviously modified, so it can be very unlinear if you want it to be. Let me change this back real quick. I was experimenting with some stuff, but you can make it very unlinear if you want to in the future, in your future like escape room goals or games or whatever. But essentially right now I just have it very, very just one to the next on purpose, just for illustrative purposes. Now I created all of this with event handlers. And again, as I mentioned before, if you want to learn more about those, check out Tim Corey's video on events and event handlers. But I created all of this with event handlers in each one of the classes, and then a special class passer object that I will explain in a future video. So anyways, without any further ado, let's take a look at what this actually does. So again, it's a very rudimentary basic escape room program. So when you walk into the room, it asks you which prop do you want to try, and you have an option between, of course, the cabinet, dresser, or the lamp, and each one of them is designated by a specific number. So if I type in, I want to go to the dresser, It'll let me know that the dresser is not active yet, and that's because I haven't completed the cabinet. So again, which prop do I want to try? Let's try the lamp. That's number 3. If I go to the lamp, it'll also tell me that the lamp is not active, and that's because the dresser hasn't been activated yet, or the dresser hasn't been completed. So my only option right now is going to be to go to the cabinet. So go to the cabinet, and it'll let me know that now the cabinet is active. And again, as I mentioned before, this is a very rudimentary basic program. So the cabinet doesn't actually have any logic to it. If you look here, all it does is say the cabinet is active, and then it finishes. That's basically it. But notice that now it says the dresser is active. And if I go to the dresser, it asks me to input a code now instead, because now the dresser is active. And the reason the dresser is active is because the cabinet has been finished. Okay, and so if I put in the correct code, it'll let me proceed. But if I put in the wrong code, it'll let me know that that is incorrect. So if I put in the code, I think it's 999, it'll take me back to the beginning. Yeah, that's right. Now, if I go back here and I go back to the cabinet, it lets me know that the cabinet is active and that I finished it. So the cabinet's done, and that's why the dresser is active. But if I go to the lamp is still not active because, again, the dresser has not been finished. So my only option now is to go back to the dresser. And if I remember correctly, the code for the dresser is, there it is. Where is it? 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. So if I put in the correct code 1, 2, 3, 4, let me go ahead and do that real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now it'll let me know that the lamp is active. And if I go back to the main room, which is which prop do you want to try, and I type in the lamp is active where it wasn't before. And it asks me if I finished the lamp. And if I remember correctly, if I just simply type in the word yes, it will let me finish the lamp. So type in yes. And back in the main room, if I go back to the lamp is finished already. And if I try each one of these, cabinet should be finished and dresser is also finished. So the idea here was that as each prop gets completed by whatever game logic you decide to put in here, then the next prop will become activated and allow the user to go to that next prop. And you can make these props go in whatever order you want as well. And I'll show that in a future video. But again, this was kind of just a very basic rudimentary escape room type program that I wanted to really illustrate encapsulation. I wanted it to be so that the lamp, the dresser, and the cabinet are all independent of one another. They don't know about one another, and they can be rearranged in the main program however I want. And this was done through kind of an interface, but I didn't really use an actual interface as like it would be termed within C#. I made the interface through what's called a class passer program, or sorry, object. And that class passer object essentially turns each class into a generic object, passes it to the next class, and then when that class fires off its event, it passes the class passer back to the main program, which then converts it back to its original type of object. Now I'll go into more details on that in a future video just because it's kind of a lot, but for the most part, I know there's probably a better way to do this, but I thought this was kind of a neat, cool, clever way, in my opinion at least, to do exactly what I wanted to do. And it does work that way. And again, as I mentioned, I'll show in a future video how you can add multiple other classes in here. And as long as they follow this same basic procedure, having the event handler that takes in a class passer, and they all have a start method in them and maybe even an activate method as well, like down here, then you can absolutely add in as many classes as you want and make this game as complex as you want, and putting in all of the game code for each prop within the class itself without the program having to know anything else, and keeping the program very, very simple other than having all multiple different events handlers at the bottom here. So anyways, that'll be for future videos. Keep an eye out for that. Again, as always, I appreciate the comments and the feedback and everything else. If you have any questions, please feel free to throw them in the comments. And again, check out my GitHub link below and my personal website link below. See some of the other projects that I do. And feel free to use any of the code that you find useful or necessary in your own projects or whatever. You can give me credit if you want to. I'm not really a stickler for that sort of thing. I'm really just trying to get my code out there so everyone can kind of see what I come up with and what I do. So please enjoy, and I will see you in the next video.